This is the Holy Shekel Crypto Gematria Bible Code Scan for Friday, August 28th, 2026, which is Yom Shishi, the 6th day of the week, the 15th day of Elul, 5786. Parshat is Tavo, and Daf Yomi for today is Chullin 120. And today is the first day of the More. Okay? And it is the 15th event. The first day of the More, I think I've explained this before, but I'll explain it briefly again. There's a system of counting the Omer 7 times a year. The Omer, in case those of you who don't know about the Omer, it's 7 weeks of time it's after Passover and before Shavuot. It's the 7 weeks between Passover and Shavuot. Every day is counted. And an interesting part of the information technology is to count that even afterwards, without a blessing, of course, not for the mitzvah, just the actual counting. Not for the purpose of counting the Omer, but just with that idea, 7 weeks. Because 7 weeks can be like 7 years, it's just an understanding of counting. So between Passover and Shavuot, between Passover and in English it's called Pentecost, and that's the Omer, O-M-E-R. But then Shavuot would be the 50th day, which is actually the first day, day one of the next cycle. So if you counted 50 more days, or 49 more days, or 7 more weeks, on the 50th day you would land, the next Shavuot would be the 25th day of Tammuz. That would be the next Shavuot, so to speak. But that would be the Emor, E-M-O-R. It's like O-M-E-R is the Omer, and then just rearrange it. The next level is called the Emor. And then when you get to Shavuot of the 25th day of Tammuz, another 7 weeks would bring you to today, the 15th day of Elul. So today is the first day of the next cycle. It's called, so basically we went from the Omer and then the Emor, and then when we get to 25 Tammuz, it would be the Me'or, M-E-O-R. Me'or was what we just passed through, and today starts the More. And then you do that 7 times, it goes throughout the year. It ends up, you can see, every 7 weeks, the next 7 weeks will end in the next target, the next goal or finish line will be the 5th day of Cheshvan. So this cycle will cover all the high holidays and Sukkot and a little bit afterwards, the rest of Elul. So then we'll end up in Cheshvan. That's the Omri, and then after the Omri, it's the Orim. Okay, that's okay. That goes to, so the Omri will take us to Hanukkah time. Hanukkah time will take us to Tu B'Shvat. These are all 7 weeks. Tu B'Shvat we'll start the Ramo, and then after Ramo is the Rome. It splits in half. It's like in the tree of life. It's Yesod and Malchut are actually linked. So the last count is half of it is like Yesod meets Malchut halfway. That's sort of my conception. And so it's the Ramo. So it's the Omre and then the Orem, like Orem, Utah. That's the one that's after Hanukkah between Tu B'Shvat. Tu B'Shvat starts the Ramo. Ramo goes halfway up to 24 days, like 3.5 weeks. It's between 24 and 25 right there. That will be the Ramo. And then the other half is the Rome. And that takes us, and then once you're there, you're like in the 7th of Adar, after you finish the Ramo. And then the Rome would take you to, from the 7th of Adar, the next 3.5 weeks would be like the beginning of Nisan. And guess what? What is Nisan? That's when Passover is. They start the next cycle over again. So that's the idea behind this count. And then the 15th event is the events are something have to do with another counting system. With events, the first event is the 10th day of Av. So this is based on the idea that the Mashiach is born on Tisha B'Av. And so the event is like that's when the event can start happening. After Tisha B'Av, the next day is when it's just based on idea. It's not literal. It's just so these events. There's actually 21 events, and then the 22nd day is the first day of the next cycle. And so that's a 3 weeks. That corresponds to. It says that. Well, I don't know if it's actually written. Well, one part of it is written that in the future fast days will be days of gladness and rejoicing. But there is somewhere in the rabbinical writings that talk about the 3 weeks between the 17th of Tammuz and Tisha B'Av, that those 3 weeks will be like a holiday. So since they're now at this point they're considered to be mourning, although it's already, I feel the shift already happening, but and I think others do as well. But anyway, that's what the events are. The events are 21 events, and they go back, they recycle after 21. I did that all last year. I did that from last year, 5785. I did that, the events, and it stopped probably, I want to say, when did it stop? It stopped probably like May, like the Omer time of this year. And so this year, in 5786, I started the events again, because 10th of Av I started, so now we're doing the event counting again. All right, that being said, let's go back to our, now that I said that, I won't say that for a while, so then, okay. Litecoin. Litecoin is Friday. Friday, Litecoin. The price of Litecoin today, checked at 3:03 Israel Daylight Time, Friday, August 28th, 2026, at 15th day of Elul. The price of Litecoin is $49.12. The price of Litecoin, if that converts into shekels, would be 146 shekels and 7 agorot. And for Litecoin, for euro dollar, would be 42 euro dollars and 18 cents. Okay? So the purpose of this Gematria Bible Code scan is to read the prices gematriatically. And so what I was doing up until now is, if you see these videos, you can see them before, I was looking in verses, the Bible, and in the Hebrew, only the Hebrew, and translating the Hebrew. And so now it's also the Bible, but the whole point of this is to look at the numbers and read them. If you see a bunch of numbers, an array of numbers, you have to look at it right away and just say a bunch of things. That has to come off the top of your head. That's the idea. So if that's the case, then for me to look in that, it's going to take too much time. I might do that sometimes, but for now, the focus is to look at it right away, and whatever I have in my head now, the Asher Hu Sham, where you are now. Now, A, B, C, always be calculating, always be gematriatizing. A, B, G, always be gematriatizing. So I'm always doing that, but when it comes to this, rubber meets the pavement. You're in the ring. There's no time to prepare. You're always preparing all the time. When you get into the realm of the crypto, you have to hit the ground running, and whatever is in your mind, that's the exercise for now. So when I look at this price, I see 49.12. 12, I think 12 tribes of Israel. Okay? The 12 sons of Joseph. Okay? 49, off the top of my head, is a word in the Torah, Moav. Moav is a nation. Moav equals 49. I knew that off the top of my head. And that's the only Hebrew word that came to mind, that's 49, that I knew right away. So that's what I put. So that's connected to the price today. That's what Litecoin brings today. Moab in English. Okay? Shekels is 146. And 7 agorot. So 7 days a week. Bebop. No, that's a little joke there. 7 days... 7, many things are 7. 7 sabbatical years, the 7 lights of the menorah, the 7 7 sabbaticals or jubilee, 7 days of creation, 6 days of creation, 7th day of rest, 7. So many 7 things. Hebrew slave works for 6 years. The 7th he's free. They all parallel. Shemitah, the sabbatical year, said that. The menorah said that. 7 spirits. 7. There's many more, but I think you got the point for that. So that's out of the way. But we have 146. What's 146? Off the top of my head, ha mitzvah, the mitzvah in Hebrew is equal to 146. That I knew off the top of my head. Ha mitzvah, the commandment, the mitzvah. 146. Okay, that's what the shekel brought forth through Litecoin today. And finally, for the euro. Now, I mentioned this in the previous thing. The setting, sometimes it's only Hebrew, but this is an open setting in terms of the gematrias that are allowed. This is English and Hebrew or any language. So if I look at the number 42, and I can't think of any Hebrew word that's 42. I just thought of one right now, but it's levado. Alone. Levado. Him alone. Levado. Or something called lavud. Lavud is that's a rabbinical law about 3 spaces, three handbreadths from the. It has to do with a space on a certain surface, and it's covered by walls. It can be considered as a proxy wall. Lavud. There's different applications. Lavud. There's different names for the same idea. There's like good achit, good asik, good achis, good asik, good atik, asik, good meaning if it's 3 spaces from the top or from the bottom. Good achit, I remember, is like your feet. So that's the low, and good asik is like attic. Atik is like an attic, even though it's probably a samach. So that's what I'm saying. You can remember it that way. So anyway, lavud is 42, right? Lamed Beis is 32, and Vav and Dalet is 10. 42. So, but that's not what I put here. What I put here was Alex. Someone asked me, I said, pick a number. And that person said that person said 42. So, and then I gave a list of names, a bunch of names. And then that person picked out the name Alex. Okay, so now what do you do? Okay, Alex is 42. So now what you do is you have to say, what does Alex mean? So in Greek, Alex means something like the defender, or to defend, or one who defends. So then you go from there. Then you say, now that you have the meaning of Alex, to defend, where do you go from there? What you do is you go, what's the numerical value of defender? You say 61. So now you have a bunch of choices. Now, what do you do with 61? You could say, if you know a bunch of names, you can go Kevin, you can go Shaul, you can go Marissa, you can go, you see, the more gematria you know, the further out you can take it. You could branch out into the whole world. It just depends. So the basic idea is making tributary little streamways throughout the knowledge world and the gematria world. The numbers are the conduits that take you there, right? So basically, the idea is it's kind of like a bank. Think about the biggest bank in the world. I mean, I don't know what the biggest bank is. Let's just say it's Bank of America. It's not, but I mean, probably one of the biggest. But Bank of America has all kinds of accounts, from personal accounts to business accounts to corporations, all kinds of. So let's just say the Bank of America has most of the people in one city, so they never lose any money because someone has a store, so they have their account in Bank of America, and they have $1 million in that account, and then the bunch of people who live in that city, they go shopping in that store, and their accounts are Bank of America. And the money, and they pay the money with their, their card, whatever, the cash, whatever. But they pay them. The money just goes into one account to the other. It doesn't go anywhere. It just stays in the same bank. The bigger the bank, you have the money. So that's, if you apply that idea to the Gematriatic world, if you have a Gematria bank with knowledge, so that it means that every place I go, I already have its number. So it just goes to a different place in my own bank. You don't have to shell out any money. When Bank of America or some other bank has so many accounts that most of the accounts in that place or in that bank, it's an issue of transferring from one account to the other. It all stays in the same bank. So that's the idea of the Gematriatic bank. And it's being arbitrated. Oh, that's the word. Arbitrated. It's being governed. It's being worked through the crypto sphere, because the crypto has the ability to, like any other thing, but crypto is just newer, to randomly generate numbers on a daily basis. Now the stock market do that too, but the stock market, I think, is just a little bit old. I don't know, just my feeling. The stock market is old. It's an old hat. It feels, I just go by the feeling. It's kind of heavy to me. It's clunky. That's the best way to describe it. The stock market is clunky, and crypto is like lighter. It's more new. It's more ethereal, a little more younger at heart. I don't know. It's lighter, ethereal, more airy. So that's the idea.